Review codes provided by the developers. I'm Jared, and I am all alone. That's right, Marcus decided to get married or something this past weekend, so while he's off enjoying his honeymoon, I'm basking in sweet, sweet solitude. And what better thing to do than play video games when you're all alone? So today, I have 3 delightful indie titles that I'd like to share with all of you. So if you are lacking a co-host, or you need some time to unwind, here are 3 excellent indie titles. For each of these, I'll be sharing a star piece and a quick jab, but let's start on a really, really high note with Let's Revolution! I feel like you have to say that game that way, because there's an exclamation point after Let's and an exclamation point after Revolution, so that's the only way I'm going to refer to it from now on, is Let's Revolution! This game is developed by Ant Food and Buck. And this game, well, the best way to describe it is it's Minesweeper, but with turn-based combat. And boy, does it work. It's such a weird little premise, but basically, you're a revolutionary trying to overthrow the king of the land, and he's hidden on a grid of tiles. Each turn, you can move onto a tile to reveal it, and there are numbers on the tiles indicating whether that tile is near the path. And the path has both enemies and upgrades on it. So rather than guessing wildly to see if there's a mine on a tile or not, you're instead looking at the revealed path tiles to deduce where they connect, because all the path tiles are connected. And this is such a great improvement to that formula. I never knew I needed a Minesweeper spiritual successor, but here we are, it works so well. Now, just like another favorite title of mine, Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, I think adding the combat angle to this is such a good idea. It makes it so much more fun to me. Thematically, it's just way more engaging to know that you have enemies and different attacks and weapons and skills that you can upgrade throughout the course of your run in order to take down those enemies. And to draw another point of comparison with a game I really like, Dicey Dungeons, in this game there are several characters and they all play totally differently. So there's a lot of replayability. Obviously, they've got the New Game Plus, I don't know what you call it, you know, in Slay the Spire and Griftlands, where you can play on a different tier, right, where they add more difficulty. If you're a hardcore gamer, there's plenty of that for you. But for me, I love that each character is totally different. The first one that you start you out with is, you know, a warrior, and so you're incentivized to take on more enemies as much as possible. But then you get characters who are trying to not reveal many tiles. In fact, you want to almost reveal no tiles or re-hide them in order to progress. So you can play more combat heavy, or you can play more intricate puzzle style, trying to figure out exactly where the king is. So, because as soon as you reveal the king, you can progress to the next level right away. So this is a really excellent title. I highly recommend it. And as for my star piece, I think it would have to be how short these runs are. I can't stand spending hours on a roguelike only to die and then end the run. But a full playthrough of this game is only about like 8 to 10 levels, which is just the perfect length because there's enough time to optimize and progress, but it's short enough for you to be like, oh, just one more run, I can do it. As for my quick jab, it would have to be that it's not on the Switch yet. This is a Steam title right now, but this would be perfect for handheld play. And, you know, I greatly enjoyed playing it on my Steam Deck, but I want our dear listeners, who mostly consist of Switch players, to give this a go ASAP. There is a free demo on Steam, so I recommend trying it out to see if it floats your boat, if it sounds intriguing. But moving on, our next title is Ixion. This is developed by Bulwark Studios, and this is a city builder in space. You play on a massive space station in a massive galaxy which you can zoom out to see all the different planets, and you are managing several types of resources, building several different types of structures, and making sure all of your workers and crew are happy. and well taken care of. Now, I will say, out of the 3 games I'm talking about today, I played this one the least, and there's a good reason for it. I actually haven't really played a city builder game before, and I almost feel like it's a requirement if you're going to jump into this one. This game is big, it has a lot of mechanics, and I kind of feel like this game operates on the assumption that you have played a city builder before. So while it was a little too complex for me and I didn't get very far, there were lots of really cool things I noticed about it that I think would really appeal to other people. My star piece would have to be the production value. It's very, very detailed, it's very pretty to look at, but even more so, the music is insanely good. It's composed by Guillaume David, who worked on a title called Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, and I haven't played that game, but I have listened to the soundtrack, and it is equally excellent. But this game, it's so good. To give you an idea of how good the soundtrack is, I listened to it twice, all the way through, at work, with my other coworkers listening. I didn't even have headphones or anything. It's that good. Please, if you don't check out this game, check out the soundtrack. It's excellent. If I had to give a quick jab, it would be, and I'm a little biased here, it's definitely hard to pick up and play, and I really wish there was a more robust tutorial that points out things so that a dummy like me can understand exactly how city builders work, exactly what I should be paying attention to. There are some, little logs that you can read through, but it's a lot of reading. It was just a tad bit overwhelming for me. Now you may be asking, Jared, if you didn't like this game this much, why are you covering it on the show? Well, first of all, it's a good game. Absolutely, I can tell. And I do recommend checking it out if this is your thing. But as for why I picked it up, well, here on Level With Us, it's really important to me that whenever we accept a review code, that we cover it on the show. I don't just want to take free handouts of games willy-nilly and then never report on them. I want to make sure I'm doing my civic duty as a game reviewer and aspiring journalist to talk about these games and make sure all of you are well informed. So that's Ixion, and the final game I'm covering today is Thronefall. This is developed by Grizzly Games, and this is currently in early access on Steam. So there's only a few levels, it's not completely developed yet, they're still working on it, and they're looking for player feedback. But they were kind enough to send a code, and in the developer's words, this game is a minimalist strategy game without all the headache. So I would describe it as kind of a tower defense / RTS game. You have a top-down view of this little kingdom you're trying to defend, and you play as a little king on a horse, and you're building up towers to defend against enemies, but you yourself are also attacking the enemies, which is very fun. There's a lot of automated elements, a lot of other soldiers and towers that you can set up, but you are still an active participant, and coming right off of Pikmin, it feels great to control someone on the field as a bunch of stuff is going on. Now, there's several limitations in place for this game. They've streamlined a lot of things here, such as tower placement. You don't get to choose where the towers go. Well, you do, but there's only a couple preset areas for you to place them. And the battles themselves kind of take on a bullet heaven approach. You can command your units to hold various positions while you yourself are attacking the enemies as well. Now, while you don't have complete freedom to decide where every unit and tower goes on this map, I think the developers intended the depth of this game to be in the decisions you make. Often when you upgrade something, you can go one of a couple different ways. And because you can always see the new waves of enemies, exactly where they're coming from, you can prioritize certain areas, you can prioritize what types of towers you want to upgrade into, and you yourself have different perks that you can take into battle, and it looks like there's a lot of them. So my guess is, at the full release of this game, there will be tons and tons of different permutations for how to go out into battle. Now, I'm always a fan of minimalist controls after, stepping into something much more complex like Ixion. So my star piece for this game would be just seeing how far the devs took it when they tried to strip down this genre into the bare elements. Everything on screen is communicated very clearly. There's not a ton of UI. It's very simple, but very elegant in that way. My quick jab would have to be that there's no controls list, which I unfortunately skipped through one or two things, and I wish I had the ability to go back and see what I missed. There's not that many things to learn. It's very simple, but it'd be nice if there was some notes that I could refer back to. Now, of course, like I said, this is all in early access, so I'm sure there will be much more content and improvements down the road, especially as the devs listen to player feedback. But yeah, that's Thronefall. So with that, I thank you, dear listeners, for joining me, and we will have Marcus back next week and a returning special guest for an extra long, extra big episode of Level With Us. It's another Name That Tune episode, and I think you're really going to like it, but it's going to take so much editing to get it done. So I hope you look forward to it. Congratulations, Marcus, on getting married. And to all of our listeners, we'll level with you next time.